Yeah, I know. I'm still doing back-to-back videos. It's Sunday afternoon and I've got some peace and quiet. So, I'm going to do a quick discussion video on The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith and The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep by H.G. Parry. Both of these books have one thing in common, and that is the characters in books can escape into the real world. That's about as far as the connection goes between these books though. They are two very different stories, two different ways of using that particular feature. And I love both of them for different reasons actually. So first up, I read The Library of the Unwritten. It was on a table in Waterstones and I thought, that sounds fun, turned it over and it's like, yes, this is perfect. So I'm just going to read you the first paragraph of the synopsis on the back. So every book left unfinished by its author is filed away in the unwritten wing, a neutral space in hell presided over by Claire, its head librarian. Along with repairing and organising books, her job consists of keeping an eye on restless stories whose characters risk materialising and escaping the library. I'm sold. I'm happy. Anyway, this book very quickly becomes a story about heaven and hell basically wanting to tear each other apart again, and Claire the librarian and her associates and her companions getting caught up in this and basically trying to prevent Armageddon. It's very sarcastically told. It's got very much the tone of Jodie Taylor's books and Douglas Adams. It's very, for a book that feels very sort of American, it's got an extremely British tone of voice in here. I mean, the author lives in Seattle, so, you know, it's got that kind of element to it, but it definitely feels extremely British. The wit in here is very amusing. The situations are very funny. And the whole concept of this book, I think, could be expanded into so much. You could have so many little short stories of various characters from these unwritten books escaping and causing the chaos, which we see briefly at the beginning of this book. But then it goes on to tell this bigger story that's going on. And it's very much about, God, when I read this, it's very much about stories and also kind of loyalties and things like that. So it doesn't quite go where you think it's going to go, but it's so good. There is another book coming out. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's this one that's got another one coming out. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. But if you really want some sort of light-hearted, fun escapism, Library of the Unwritten. And then The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep by H.G. Parry. Similar concept of that characters can escape from books, but in this one there is a person called Charlie who can draw characters out of books, and so he's been doing this most of his life, much to his brother's horror. This book is told from his brother's point of view and other secondary characters, as well as an overreaching narrator's voice as well. And it's quite interesting in the way that it plays with the concept of what would happen if you could bring the characters out of the books. How would they behave? Would they be any different? What happens when they go back? And how would it affect the world around us? So there's a lot of that going on here. This is actually more complex than you'd have thought it would have been from the premise. And there's a lot of things about sibling rivalry in here, family love, what it means to be human, what it means to be real, the love of stories, the love of reading. There's a lot going on in this book and I really, really loved it. So, you know, I really enjoyed this book. And again, I think it potentially could have other spin-offs from it. I think certainly some of the events in the middle of this book and some of the revelations that come out means that there's room for more stories within this universe where these things happen. But it was really nice meeting some of my favourite characters on page. There's certainly a lot of humour being played with them. There is a scene where we meet several Mr. Darcys and you're sitting there working out which one is actually which version. There is certainly a Colin Firth Mr. Darcy in there, and I'll leave you to figure out which one he is. But that was quite hilarious. Seeing Heathcliff in all his gothic, romantic, monster love form. And it's like, oh my god, I hate this character. I really don't like Heathcliff. I think he's awful. But the way he's told in this story, and when you understand why he is the way he is as well, is really funny. And I don't want to spoil it for you, because the way that these characters behave is quite a big deal, and the plot revelation around why they behave in that way is quite a big thing as well. So I'm not going to spoil it. But this is very, very enjoyable. Like I said, there's a lot going on in this book, more than you think there should be. So, you know, please do give it a go. The author is writing a second book. As far as I'm aware, it's separate from this one, and it's to do with magicians. So I've already put that down on my want list, because I really enjoyed the writing style in here. I thought it was creatively told. You can tell I read this one the most recent out of the two books. But yeah, I really, really liked this. It was just playful and fun and heartwarming, and you cared about all the characters. You know, the Library of the Unwritten, I cared about the characters in that one, but it's been about 2 months since I read that one, so I can't remember it as well. Whereas this one I finished a couple of weeks ago, and I just really, really enjoyed it. I did have to ask who Uriah Heep was and how I pronounced his name, and I still don't think I'm pronouncing it right, because the book he's from I've not actually read. Some of them I didn't know because I've not read the books that they come from. But it's quite interesting to see which ones you will spot and which ones you'll know, and how they'll be in relation to how you thought they were going to be. Again, I'm trying really hard not to spoil it. So there we are. So 2 books based around books, using it in a very, very different way, very different story style, very different plot going on as well, and very different characters. So, you know, that's great. I really, really like this. I have had people sending in other books that use books coming alive or characters coming from books, so I'm looking forward to reading some of those suggestions, so thank you so much for that. And if you've got any others, just let me know, you know, that'd be great. So there we are. Have you read either of those books? You know, which did you like more? I mean, I'm going to say I loved both of them, but because they were totally different, which is great that we can have a similar premise but totally different books from it, which is brilliant. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read either of them and your favourite moments, without spoiling too much, or, you know, hiding your spoilers. Down in the description box you will find a link to a small booktuber, so please go and check them out. Also my social media links, and my book blog is down there as well. Please go and find that. That'd be really nice. So thank you very much for watching, and happy reading. Bye.